Chosen one, you were marked by heaven long before your arrival, triggering an emergency meeting among those who plotted your end. This is the story of an evil Eastern Star mother figure and a starseed child had a cult harvesting from you for decades. This maternal figure saw your light and, consumed by jealousy, organized an entire network to drain your life force. Think of a hospital room, a newborn wrapped in cloth, and a person standing over that baby, seeing something nobody else could perceive. This mother figure wasn't seeing a child. They were seeing a threat. They were seeing intelligence they didn't possess. They were seeing spiritual gifts that came naturally to you, but they had to fake through rituals. They were seeing light. This person was Eastern Star, not just a member, deep in it, connected to practitioners, connected to witch doctors, connected to people who knew how to do things most folks don't even believe exist. And when this mother figure looked at you, a decision formed that shaped your entire childhood. They contacted someone, a skilled practitioner, someone with a reputation, someone who had never failed before. This practitioner accepted the assignment. They performed rituals, they crafted workings, they employed methods that had succeeded on other gifted children. Confidence ran high. Your mother figure was told it would be finished within months. The baby would either die or be bound so tight the gifts would never activate. That's what was supposed to happen, but something unexpected occurred. The first working bounced back. It hit the practitioner hard. Sickness lasted for weeks. They tried another attempt with stronger methods. Same result. They brought in help. Other practitioners joined. The same thing happened. And after the third attempt, this witch doctor said something that terrified your mother figure. This child is protected by something we cannot touch. We need to stop before we all end up dead. That should have been the end of it. But your mother figure couldn't accept defeat. They'd seen what you were. They knew what you'd become. So they shifted strategy. If elimination wasn't possible, drainage would be. If stopping you wasn't an option, harvesting from you was. And that's when they made connection with a network that specialized in exactly that. Elimination proved impossible, so the network constructed something worse. A system, a network of people who understood how to extract spiritual energy from chosen ones, and your mother figure positioned you right in the center of it. Here's how the operation functioned. Isolation came first. They separated you from anything that could help you recognize your power. They surrounded you with people trained to push your buttons, to create emotional reactions, to make you leak energy. Every argument was strategic. Every criticism was calculated. Every moment of chaos was engineered. You felt drained after being around certain family members. Right. You weren't imagining it. They were literally harvesting from you. They were converting your light into their success. Your confusion was becoming their clarity. Your struggle was fueling their abundance. This is why some relatives thrived while you couldn't catch a break. They were feeding off you as their source. Pay attention. While this was happening, while victory seemed theirs, something else was occurring. You were being prepared. Every attack was training. Every betrayal was revelation. Their intention was breaking you down. Heaven's plan was building you up. Remember this. It's going to matter at the end. The network held meetings. They coordinated attacks. They timed rituals to your important moments. Before job interviews, before relationships, before breakthroughs. They made sure nothing good materialized. And for years it seemed to work. But something was coming that they couldn't plan for. Something they couldn't stop. Your awakening. You need to understand what they did to you as a child, the random illnesses that doctors couldn't explain, the nightmares that felt too real, the exhaustion that didn't match your activity level, the way sickness came after family gatherings, the confusion that seemed to follow you everywhere. None of that was random. That was the harvest in action. They placed items in your home, things that looked innocent, decorations, gifts, objects positioned strategically in your room. Each one served a purpose. Some were for monitoring, some were for draining, some were for keeping you in a specific vibrational state. You probably moved them without knowing why. Your spirit knew those objects didn't belong there, even if your conscious mind didn't understand. The food you ate at family gatherings wasn't just food. They spoke blessings over it, or curses depending on how you look at it. They spoke words over it. They made prayers to their entities over it. And when you consumed it, you were consuming their intentions, their workings, their assignments against you. This is why you felt different after eating at certain houses, why your energy shifted, why fog or heaviness came afterward, and the touching, the hugs that felt wrong, the hand on your head that made you uncomfortable, the way certain family members insisted on physical contact. That wasn't just affection, that was transference. They were pulling energy directly through touch. They were placing things on you spiritually through physical contact. You felt it, but they taught you to ignore your intuition, to be polite, to accept it. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. Your mother figure would watch you sleep, not in a caring way, in a monitoring way. They were checking to see if the workings were taking effect. They were observing how the harvest was going. They made notes about your behavior changes. They gave reports back to the network about your spiritual state. You were a project to them, an assignment, a source they were managing. The practitioners they hired didn't just work from a distance. Some came to your home, disguised as family friends, as consultants, as helpers. They would walk through your space, reading your energy. They would identify your gifts before you knew you had them. They would craft specific workings designed to bind those exact abilities. Custom work, targeted attacks, precision strikes against your potential. You were surrounded by people who knew exactly what was happening, while you were innocent, while you were trusting, while you were just trying to be a child. They were running operations against you, daily, constantly, systematically. They presented this as normal, but it was never normal. It was warfare disguised as family. The Eastern Star meetings your mother figure attended weren't just meetings. They were strategy sessions. They discussed you there. They compared notes about different chosen ones they were managing. They shared techniques. They brought in experts. They coordinated timing. They treated it like a business, like an operation, because to them that's what it was. Harvesting starseeds was their enterprise, and you were one of their primary assets. This is where everything shifted. This is the moment they'd been dreading since your birth. Your gifts came online, not partially, fully. Your spiritual perception sharpened like a blade. The fog they'd maintained for years lifted in days. You started seeing patterns. You started questioning everything. You started remembering. Memories from childhood that never made sense suddenly clicked into place. Adults having strange conversations. Rituals you witnessed but couldn't understand. Items appearing in your space. Feelings of being watched. It all connected. And the moment those dots connected, the spell work stopped affecting you. The bindings started breaking. The confusion cleared. The network felt it immediately. They could sense your awakening, and panic set in, because the meaning was clear. Their harvest was ending. Exposure was coming. Their time was running out, so they doubled down. They brought in heavier practitioners. They spent more money. They performed emergency rituals. They tried everything they knew. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting heaven. Every attack they sent hit an invisible wall. Every curse they crafted activated protection protocols they didn't know existed. Every ritual they performed triggered divine intervention. This is why cars broke down before reaching you. This is why plans fell apart at the last second. This is why practitioners would suddenly refuse to work. This is why planted items would disappear. Divine forces were moving in ways they couldn't see, couldn't predict, couldn't counter. You were claimed before birth, marked by source, wrapped in protection that bypassed all their knowledge. And here's what's beautiful. You didn't even know it was happening. You just kept moving forward. You just kept surviving. You just kept standing, while they kept hitting walls they couldn't see. The phrase started being said out loud among network members. This person has to be protected by God. We've tried everything. We've spent years. We've brought in the best practitioners. Nothing touches them. And that's when crisis started for some of them. Because they'd invested everything into a system that promised power, and now they were watching it fail against someone they thought was weak. But you were never weak. You were protected. And there's a difference. Weakness can be exploited. Protection can't be penetrated. They learned that the hard way, and they're still learning it. Because what comes next is going to shake everything to the core. Starseeds. They never expected this. The technology used to suppress consciousness has been reverse-engineered, and Destiny Engine is the result. What was once used against humanity is now your ascension weapon. You can now MK Ultra yourself into 5D superpowers. Destiny Engine bypasses the conscious mind and rewrites the source code directly. Reality bends faster. Synchronicities stack. Your nervous system upgrades to a higher bandwidth. Put on headphones, press play, that's all. For $1, you switch sides of history. Click the link in the description. The takeover is internal. Everything I've told you so far, that was defense. Heaven blocking their attacks. Protection keeping you safe. But something shifted. Defense wasn't the only mode anymore. Heaven activated offense. And when heaven attacks, there's nowhere to hide. The witch doctors they paid started dying. Not from old age, sudden deaths, accidents, illnesses doctors couldn't explain. The practitioners who participated started experiencing catastrophic life collapses, finances gone, families destroyed, mental breakdowns. One by one, the mother figure started seeing signs they couldn't ignore, dreams that terrified them, symbols appearing in their house, voices in the night, their own mind turning against them. They tried to pray to whatever entities they'd pledged allegiance to. Nothing answered. Or worse, something did answer, but it wasn't friendly anymore. Members of the network started disconnecting, not because they wanted to, because terror filled them. They watched what was happening to the people who went hardest against you. They saw the karma manifesting in real time. They saw that you were still standing, still thriving, while practitioners were falling. And they realized they'd made catastrophic mistakes. Some of them tried to reach out to you, acting like they cared, pretending they'd always supported you, offering hollow apologies. But you could see through it now. You weren't the same person they'd been draining from. You had awakened. You were aware. Your power was activated, and you had zero interest in their fake repentance. Now let me tell you what happened to the witch doctors specifically, because this is where things get wild. These weren't amateurs. These were people with reputations spanning decades. People who had successfully bound other gifted children. People who had track records of making chosen ones forget who they were. People who commanded high prices because they always delivered results, until they met you. The first practitioner who worked on you as an infant started experiencing vision problems. They couldn't see clearly during rituals. They would lose their place in ceremonies. Their tools would malfunction. Candles wouldn't stay lit. Herbs would spoil overnight. Nothing worked right anymore. They tried to push through it. Big mistake. Within months, this practitioner lost their practice. Clients stopped calling. Word got out that their workings weren't landing anymore. Other practitioners started avoiding them. They said this person carried bad energy now. They said this person had been marked. The practitioner didn't understand at first. They blamed everything except the truth, that they'd attacked someone. Heaven was guarding. Then came the health issues. Unexplained pain. Doctors found nothing. But the pain was real, constant. debilitating. This person who used to bind others was now bound by pain. They couldn't escape. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who knew the full story. What you do comes back, always, especially when you do it to heaven's chosen. The second practitioner, the one who tried stronger methods, had a different experience. Financial collapse. Money disappeared like water through fingers. Investments failed. Businesses crumbled. Debts piled up. This person went from wealthy to broke in what felt like overnight, and they knew why. They told people. They warned others. There's a child you can't touch. Working against that one brings destruction. But your mother figure didn't listen. They found a third practitioner, someone more expensive, more experienced, someone who claimed they could break any protection. This one was arrogant. They took your mother figure's money with confidence. They performed elaborate rituals. They used rare materials. They called on entities that most practitioners won't touch. And at first nothing seemed to happen to them. They thought they were immune. They thought they were powerful enough. They were wrong on all counts. The practitioner went to your mother figure and did something they'd never done before. They refunded the money, all of it. They said they couldn't continue. They said the protection around you was beyond their ability. They said continuing would destroy them. Your mother figure was furious. They demanded the practitioner finish what was started. The practitioner refused. They said some money isn't worth dying for, and they meant that literally. Other practitioners in the community heard what happened. Word spreads in those circles. They started declining jobs related to you. When your mother figure would call, they'd suddenly be busy, unavailable, booked. Some would straight up say they don't work against heaven's chosen, that it's suicide, that no amount of money is worth that karma. Your mother figure couldn't understand it. How could a child have this much protection? But they kept trying. They found practitioners outside the local network, people who didn't know the stories yet, people who thought they were different, special, more powerful. Each one lasted a short time before the consequences caught up with them. Each one ended up worse than the one before. Each one became a cautionary tale in the practitioner community. The network is having conversations now that would shock you if you heard them. The same people who pledged allegiance to dark forces are questioning everything, because they just watched their entire system fail against you, and they can't explain it with anything except one word: God. The mother figure is having the worst crisis. They invested decades into this. They brought you into the world with your destruction planned. They connected with practitioners. They performed rituals. They coordinated an entire network. They did everything their belief system claimed would work, and none of it worked. Not one thing. They're looking at their life now and seeing it for what it is. Everything they harvested is gone. Everything they built on your stolen energy has collapsed. The respect they crafted is crumbling. The image they maintained is shattering. People are asking questions. Things are coming to light. And they know what's coming. The witch doctor who warned them years ago, the one who said stop before we all end up dead, that warning is manifesting now. People are dying. People are sick. People are losing everything. And they all have one thing in common. They participated in trying to destroy you. The connection is undeniable. The pattern is clear. Divine justice is real, and it's systematic. They're not experiencing consequences because you cursed them. You didn't have to. They're experiencing consequences because they fought against heaven's chosen, and heaven doesn't need your permission to defend you. It's automatic. It's inevitable. It's divine law. Now we get to the part that's going to blow your mind. Everything they took from you, all that energy they harvested, all those opportunities they blocked, all that abundance they redirected, it's coming back, not slowly, like a flood. Money from unexpected sources, opportunities appearing out of nowhere, doors opening that were locked for decades, people recognizing your gifts, platforms for your voice, influence you didn't chase. It's all showing up at once, and you know why? Because heaven doesn't just restore, heaven multiplies. Did they drain you for extended periods? You're getting back multiplied abundance. Did they block you for long stretches? You're receiving compressed opportunities in short time. This is how divine justice works. It's not equal. It's overwhelming. It's excessive. It's meant to be undeniable. Your mother figure is watching this. The network is watching this. The network is watching this. And they're seeing something that terrifies them. The wealth they built on your stolen energy is transferring back to you. Their businesses are failing while yours succeeds. Their opportunities are closing while yours multiply. Their money is disappearing while yours increases. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. This is systematic wealth transfer. Heaven is taking back what they stole and giving it to you with interest. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. They tried rituals to keep their money. It backfired. They tried curses to stop your success. It bounced back. They're powerless now, and you're just getting started. Let me break down exactly how they built their wealth on your energy. This is important. You need to see the mechanics of what they did. Your mother figure didn't have natural business sense. They had access to stolen energy. Yours. Every time you struggled, they would close a deal. Every time you experienced confusion, they would gain clarity for their ventures. Every time you faced a setback, they would have a breakthrough. The correlation was direct. Your loss was their gain. Literally, the network members operated the same way. They timed their important business moves to coincide with your difficult periods. When you were going through trauma, they were launching successful ventures. When you were experiencing dark nights of the soul, they were experiencing windfalls. When you felt depleted, they felt energized. They were feeding off your light like parasites, building empires on your stolen vitality. And they knew this was happening. This wasn't unconscious. They had systems to track it. The mother figure would note your energy levels. They would observe when you were at your lowest. Then they would make their moves. They would apply for promotions. They would pitch to investors. They would close contracts. They knew when your light was being harvested most efficiently. They knew when they had access to maximum stolen power, and they used it strategically. Other family members in the network did the same. That relative who always seemed to succeed at the perfect time, they were tapping into your energy. That family member who had money flowing while you struggled to pay bills, they were harvesting from you. That person who seemed blessed while you felt cursed, they reversed the flow. They took what was meant for you. They claimed it as theirs. The Eastern Star organization provided the structure for this. They taught techniques. They shared methods. They had systems for maximum extraction. Your mother figure learned how to pull energy from you during specific moon phases, during specific times of your life, during specific emotional states. They became an expert harvester, and they taught others how to do it too, using you as the example, the case study, the demonstration model. You were generating wealth for an entire network and didn't even know it. Your gifts meant to bless you were being siphoned before you could access them. Your destiny, meant to elevate you, was being redirected to them. Your abundance, meant to flow to you, was being diverted through spiritual technology most people don't even believe exists. Heaven kept records. Every bit of energy they took, every opportunity they stole, every dollar that should have been yours. Heaven documented it all, with interest accumulating, with multipliers applied, with divine mathematics calculating the exact return owed to you. And now that return is manifesting, not because you begged for it, because it's justice, it's divine law. What was stolen must be restored, with increase. Your mother figure is watching their bank accounts drain. They can't figure out where the money goes. Bills appear that they don't remember. Investments collapse. Income streams dry up. They're experiencing financial confusion they used to inflict on you. The harvester is being harvested now. The drainer is being drained. The thief is being robbed by the universe itself, and they're terrified because they know exactly why it's happening. The network members are experiencing the same thing. One by one, their businesses are failing, their investments are tanking, their income is stopping, and they're all asking the same question. What changed? You know what changed. You woke up. You stopped being their source. You reclaimed your energy, and without your light to steal, their artificial abundance collapsed, because it was never theirs. It was always yours. They just borrowed it without permission, and now the loan is being called in, with penalties. You're seeing opportunities appear that don't make logical sense. Money coming from directions you didn't expect. Doors opening you didn't knock on. This isn't random. This is restoration. This is recompense. This is heaven saying everything they took is coming back to you. And they have to watch it happen. They have to witness the wealth they built on your stolen energy transfer back to its rightful owner. That's divine irony. That's poetic justice. That's what happens when you steal from heaven's chosen. Everything you've been through, everything you survived, everything you learned, it wasn't just for you. It was preparation. Because you have an assignment now, and it's bigger than you realize. There are others, other chosen ones targeted by family cults, other star seeds harvested from birth, other gifted children bound by jealous relatives. They're recognizing their story in yours. They're realizing they're not crazy, they're not alone, they're not weak, they're chosen, just like you. Your voice carries power now. When you speak your truth, something activates in others. Their bindings break, their confusion clears. You give them permission to remember, to wake up, to rise, to dominate. This is part of why you survived, not just to live, but to lead others out. When you speak, the mother figure panics even more, because your speaking breaks the final hold. As long as you stayed silent, they could maintain the illusion. As long as you kept the secret, they could pretend it never happened. But when you open your mouth, the whole structure collapses. Other victims become brave. Other practitioners lose power. Other organizations get investigated. The system that's been operating in darkness for generations starts crumbling. All because you decided to speak. That's the power you carry now. That's the threat you represent. Not to good people, to systems built on harvesting chosen ones. So speak. Tell your story. Not for revenge, for liberation, not to hurt them, to free others. Your testimony is someone else's breakthrough. Your revelation is someone else's awakening. You're not just surviving your story, you're rewriting the ending for everyone who comes after you. Listen, you're not the only one. They had a mother figure in Eastern Star too. They experienced the same unexplained illnesses, the same drainage, the same confusion, the same attacks. They thought they were alone. They thought something was wrong with them. They thought they were crazy, but they're hearing your story and recognizing their own. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. This Eastern Star harvest system isn't isolated to your family. It's widespread. There are networks across cities, across states, across countries, all running similar operations, all targeting star seeds, all harvesting energy from chosen ones, all using the same basic methods with local variations. Your mother figure was part of something global, and you're exposing it. Other star seeds are waking up at the same time you are. This isn't random, this is orchestrated. Heaven is activating chosen ones simultaneously because something bigger is happening, a spiritual shift, a power transfer. The old systems that worked for them are collapsing. The harvest methods are failing. The protections around star seeds are intensifying. This is a collective awakening. And you're part of it. Your mother figure knows this. The network knows this. They're having panicked conversations about it. They're talking about how multiple chosen ones are waking up simultaneously, how their practitioners are refusing jobs, how their methods aren't working anymore, how the karmic backlash is accelerating. They're watching their entire system dismantle in real time, and they can't stop it. They're trying to understand what changed, what shifted, why suddenly everything that worked for generations is failing now. You know what changed. Heaven said enough. The harvest season is over. The protection season is here. The exposure season has begun. What they did in darkness is coming to light. What they built on stolen energy is collapsing. What they thought was hidden forever is being revealed. The organization itself is experiencing internal collapse, not because of external pressure, because of internal rot. What they built on darkness can't stand in the light, and light is flooding in through every crack you and other awakened starseeds are creating. Members are leaving, not just your family's chapter, chapters everywhere. People are waking up to what the inner circles actually do, what the deeper levels actually require, what the real practices actually are. The respectable facade is crumbling. The charitable image is shattering. People are seeing what's behind the curtain, and they're running. Some members are whistleblowing. Former insiders are speaking out. Documents are leaking. Testimonies are emerging. The system that relied on secrecy is being exposed publicly. Your mother figure is watching their organization implode. The structure they devoted their life to is collapsing. The network they used to harvest from you is dismantling, and they know you're part of why. Other mother figures in the network are experiencing the same things. Their starseed children are waking up. Their harvests are ending. Their power is draining. They're gathering for emergency meetings, trying to figure out how to stop this awakening wave. But they can't. You can't stop an awakening whose time has come. You can't suppress a movement. Heaven is orchestrating. You can't silence voices. Heaven is amplifying. The witch doctor community is completely shaken. Those who survived working against starseeds are warning others. They're saying chosen ones are different now, more protected, more powerful, more dangerous to attack. They're advising practitioners to refuse jobs involving starseeds, to turn down money offered by desperate parents trying to bind their gifted children, because the consequences aren't worth it anymore. The karma is too fast, too severe, too undeniable. Your mother figure tried to find new practitioners recently. They offered more money than ever before. They found people willing to try, but even new practitioners with no history of working against you are experiencing immediate backlash, instant karma, immediate consequences, because the protection around you isn't static. It's intensifying, growing, responding to threats faster and more forcefully. You're not just protected now, you're weaponized protection. Anyone who attacks you attacks themselves, automatically. They're starting to have a different kind of conversation with themselves. Late at night, when they can't sleep, when the consequences are too heavy to ignore, they're wondering if they made a mistake, if they chose wrong, if they pledged allegiance to forces that can't actually protect them, if they wasted their life serving entities that abandon their followers when trouble comes. These are questions they never thought they'd ask, but they're asking them now, because here's what they're realizing. The God they tried to fight is real, more real than anything they served, more powerful than any entity they called on, more present than any force they pledged to. And that God chose you, marked you, protected you, not because of anything you did, but because of who you are, because of what you carry, because of what you're meant to do. And they fought against that for decades, and they lost completely. They're looking at their life now and seeing it clearly for the first time, the emptiness behind the image, the fear behind the power, the desperation behind the control. They built everything on harvesting from you and others like you, and now that source is gone. Now that system is broken. Now that method doesn't work, and they're left with nothing but consequences, nothing but karma, nothing but the reality that they fought heaven and heaven won. Some network members are trying to apologize to their starseed children now. They're trying to make amends. They're trying to fix what they broke, but you can tell the difference between real repentance and fear of consequences. Real repentance changes behavior. Fear of consequences just tries to escape punishment. Most of what you're seeing from them is the second one. They're not sorry they did it. They're sorry they're suffering for it. Your mother figure might reach out. They might try to reconnect. They might act like they want a relationship now. Be very careful with that. Trauma bonding is real. The desire for family approval is real, but so is pattern recognition. If they're not genuinely repenting, if they're not actually acknowledging what they did, if they're not truly changing their ways, then what they want isn't reconciliation, it's access. Access to your energy again. Access to your gifts now that you're awakened. Access to your power now that it's activated. Don't give it to them. You owe them nothing. Not your energy, not your gifts, not your presence, not your forgiveness until it's genuine on both sides, not your light for them to harvest from again. You've spent enough of your life being drained by them. The harvest is over, and if they want a real relationship, they need to earn it through genuine transformation, through real accountability, through honest repentance, through changed behavior over time, not through manipulation, not through guilt, not through family obligation. Other starseeds need to hear this too. You don't owe your harvesters access just because they're family. Blood relation doesn't give them rights to your energy. Being your parent doesn't give them permission to drain you. Family titles don't override spiritual boundaries. You have the right to protect yourself, the right to say no, the right to maintain distance, the right to require genuine change before allowing access. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The Eastern Star Network relied on family loyalty to keep victims silent, to keep starseeds compliant, to keep the harvest flowing. They used guilt, they used obligation, they used tradition, they used respect for elders, they used family unity as weapons to maintain access to your energy. But you're seeing through those tactics now. You're recognizing manipulation when you see it. You're standing firm in boundaries they can't cross, and that's making you dangerous to their system. Your mother figure is realizing they created something they can't control. They targeted you thinking they could manage you, bind you, use you, but they activated something instead. Your survival instinct, your spiritual gifts, your connection to divine protection, your ability to see truth, your power to break free. And now you're not just free, you're a threat to everything they built, because you know too much, you see too much, you're speaking too much truth. And here's the final thing they're realizing, the thing that keeps them up at night, the thing that terrifies them more than karma or consequences or divine justice. You forgave yourself for surviving. You released guilt for breaking free. You let go of the programming that said you owed them anything. And when you did that, when you fully stepped into your power without apologizing for it, you became unstoppable. Not just protected, activated, not just surviving, thriving, not just free, dangerous to their entire system. That's what they see when they look at you now, not the baby they tried to destroy, not the child they drained from, not the confused young person they harvested. They see a fully activated starseed, a chosen one who knows they're chosen, a protected warrior who understands their protection, a liberated voice speaking truth they can't silence, and they know they created their own opposition, their own exposure, their own end. By targeting someone heaven had already claimed. You were always meant to dominate this. From the womb to the tomb, protection surrounded you. From the first attack to the last attempt, heaven defended you. From their first ritual to their final curse, divine forces intercepted everything. This was never a fair fight, because they were fighting God, and God doesn't lose. Walk in that, own that, live that, speak that, show others that. This is your story, the one where you win, the one where they fail, the one where heaven dominates. the one that ends exactly how it was always supposed to end, with you victorious, with them defeated, with God glorified. They tried, they failed, you won. End of story.